morning and happy Saturday, you guys. It is Amanda and Barron with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio, 104.3 FM and 1220 AM. Our sponsor for this first half is Odd Moe's Pizza. And you guys, if you have not had Odd Moe's Pizza yet, you are missing out. So I'm going to highlight the Bull Rider barbecue chicken this time. It's got diced chicken, sausage, breakfast bacon, pineapple, and their chipotle lime barbecue sauce, which is phenomenal. So that's a good one. And then they've got many appetizers. I did not have that up on my screen. Let's see. Potato poppers, chicken strips, cheesy garlic bread, Mojo's, boneless wings, and donuts. And then Mike, I'm going to read his text message here from him. They are hiring... Pull this up. So they are hiring for both drivers, inside workers, and supervisors at Odd Moe's. You can fill out an application online, or you can bring your resume in person to their Lancaster location, or you can drop it off at their corporate office, which is 1745 23rd Street, Southeast Salem, Oregon. You must be 18 years or older, disciplined with work, and have really good work habits, and have the desire to succeed. So thank you so much, Mike, from Odd Moe's Pizza for sponsoring our show.
And if you've ever gone in to pick up a pizza at Odd Moe's, you can tell these people are just having fun. So working for Mike would be a lot of fun.
Yes, they're amazing. They really are.
You know, what's really fun for us is we have a YouTube channel now. Woo-hoo. And if you haven't subscribed, please just go to Kickin'Cancer Productions and subscribe to our show. But because of YouTube, they can tell we have headphones on. And we have headphones on because we have a caller on the phone.
We do.
Do you want to introduce our caller?
Hi, Brenda. How are you?
Yay, get to call in today. So fun.
Yeah, so Brenda's the co-founder of Kickin'Cancer. And there's a couple of these we're going to talk about really from 6 years ago. That is kind of that organic growth of Kickin'Cancer. But
she's the heart of Kickin'Cancer.
She, and she really is. What's funny is that first Go team really to support Brenda was just me running around town, and no one knew who she was.
Yeah.
And I said, she is the queen of kindness. I am just the king
really
of jibber jabber.
Oh, you nailed it. That was really spot on,
King
actually.
King of jibber jabber. But
we make a pretty good team like that.
Yeah,
you do.
But the other thing that's interesting is it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but if Brenda had not gotten cancer, I would not have had a reason to start getting cancer.
Right.
So sure. Brenda really is the face, and I'm just the mouth.
Fair enough.
There it is.
Fair enough.
Very nicely done.
I know, Brenda, you always listen down there in Arizona for the show. You know, I always ask Amanda her thoughts from last week's show, but what are your thoughts from these ladies that had this colon hydrotherapy machine?
Yeah, such an interesting episode to learn about. And I would certainly encourage everybody, go back and listen to it, but also watch it, because there's so much to see, just like visually within their location. That was really nice to be able to do that. And with the way we have all of our processed food these days, where does it go? It's in the mouth, it goes to the system, comes out the other side. We really could use ourselves getting cleaned out. And this is a really non-invasive way. I was super impressed with how delicate they were with their comments, with the way that they handled the situation, examples they gave of people that came in that were maybe a little rough and embarrassed at first, and when they left, they just felt so good and so comfortable. And I think that just lets us know, if some people, like they gave examples of, surely all of us can benefit from this.
Yes.
I would totally agree with you.
Agreed. Yes.
I made the comment that was it was a delicate subject to talk about. Mm-hmm. And they brought humor into it. I mean, they have a sign and then it said, "I would poop here again."
With 5 stars.
With 5 stars. You know? And the other thing, I just have to give a huge shout out to Ashlie, who's actually our videographer for the YouTube, because she added a really fun poop emoji with a heart on it when you watch the show.
It can be an awkward subject to talk about for sure, but it's real. And it's, at the end of the day, it's necessary, and it's real life, and it's part of our health. And I think it was an amazing show. Well, I enjoyed it.
The other thing exciting to me is we've done this show in studio for a long, long time. That was actually a pilot to see, can we take our show on the road with our cameras now? And we can.
We did it.
Ashlie kind of looks at the analytics, and I think she told me we had like 40 or 50 views that very first day.
That's awesome.
And we don't get nearly that many people that are just listening.
Yeah.
So again, if you have not gone to our YouTube channel, it's Kicking Cancer Productions. All of them are on there, and you can watch or listen. And then Ashlie adds all kinds of interesting information, pictures, that kind of stuff.
Makes it a lot of fun.
It does make a lot of fun.
It does.
Well, we have always...
Let me say one more tiny thing about that, where you were commenting about it being a delicate subject. We don't talk about it very much, but I think that's part of the problem because of colon cancer and other kinds of internal cancers being so prevalent these days. The fact that we're not willing to talk about that can really cause us the issues that we're having right now. So let's talk about it a little bit more and not make it quite so delicate.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, very good.
And our 100 disease-fighting food, this is kind of an interesting God moment because I actually had a different guest that was going to be here today, and for a variety of reasons that didn't happen. So Brenda said she would call in. But this is actually one of Brenda's favorite foods to talk about. So our anti-cancer food today is grapes.
Oh, I love grapes.
And I'll read what it says, but I know that Brenda's going to have some great thoughts to add to this. So it says, grapes have a long life polyphenol that research suggests may prevent and possibly even one day treat cancer.
Oh, wow.
Now that's intriguing that they say research suggests that it may prevent and possibly even one day treat cancer, heart disease, and neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's. They are a great source of fiber needed for a healthy gut and body. And the picture actually shows the green grapes and the red grapes.
Okay.
But Brenda, you've got some thoughts on the red grapes or the purple grapes. What are your thoughts there on those grapes, Brenda?
Yeah, there you go. Anything with the brighter colors are going to be a little bit more benefit. They have a lot more stronger antioxidants in them. They're going to have a lot more of the polyphenols in them because that's what the bright colors are kind of saying in nature. They're saying, come and eat me. You're gonna benefit by having this really bright color in your body. The anthocyanins are in there. We've talked about that, the word cyan in there, C-Y-A-N. When we think about that, that is kind of that bluish purple color. That's why we call it cyan. So anthocyanins are going to benefit your body by taking care of the free radicals that are running around in there, causing lots of disease, swelling, inflammation, and cancer frequently. The other thing a lot of people talk about is drinking wine. Well, the benefit to wine is only if it's a red wine, white wine doesn't have it, is it has resveratrol in it, but the resveratrol is coming from the skin of the purple grape. And you're already getting a lot of negatives from the wine. So just eat the grapes and enjoy your resveratrol from the purple grapes. Lots of benefits there.
So
I agree.
And they're tasty. You can
Brenda's
do
not
everything with
advocating
them.
for alcoholism here.
No, and I'm for it.
Yeah, I know. No.
I'm for it.
Exactly. And you can do everything with grapes. You can put them into your oatmeal, or you could actually freeze them. They make a great summertime snack for the little ones to enjoy. So lots of good options there.
My kids freeze them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I go get from Costco, I get the big thing of grapes, and I always de-stem them and put them in a bowl.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'll just sit in there.
Sure.
It's like the kids aren't sure how to de-stem a grape.
Right.
And the husband. But if I de-stem them, they're gone in a day. And then the kids started putting them in the freezer and just eating them like that on hot days. It was like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
So grapes
I love it.
is our anti-cancer food for
All
today.
right. I love it.
Go get some. Go get some.
I was asked to make a presentation recently for a business group, and I realized, 6 years into this little, I'm going to call it project, 6 years into this, a lot of people know Kicking Cancer from our shirts. They know the donkey, they know the message, but they don't know the origins. Mm-hmm. So I decided to do a little presentation on the origins, and Brenda's going to weigh some thoughts in here too, but what was intriguing was the idea came to me on January the 2nd in 2018. That's when the idea hit me. And 2 days later, on January the 4th, I read a quote.
Okay.
And it's a good, he's a religious leader in this country, but this is an interesting quote. He says, "Don't let an obstacle to be conquered become greater than a person to be loved."
One more time.
Don't let an obstacle to be conquered become greater than a person to be loved.
Amen. That's a good one.
And I can't even tell you how many times over the last 6 years an obstacle came at me or Brenda, and it's like, we're going to figure out how to get past this obstacle. Well, the obstacles just kept coming and coming, but I wanted to find a way to help Brenda out. And so we did that Warrior Dash. We talked about that before. But a couple things happened right afterwards. And I'm going to tell you one from my perspective. Then Brenda's got an interesting one from her perspective. But it was the very next day. I went back to work at Costco. And an employee a female employee came to me and she says, "It's really cool what you did for your sister." Because we had about 42 Costco employees that joined me in that little adventure, right?
Absolutely.
And she says, "It's really cool what you did for your sister because I just found out I have cancer in both breasts."
Whoa.
Yeah. She was a very strong Latino lady. Mm-hmm. And 4 of us at Costco had decided to take on that Spartan race. And she became our motivation. She became the reason we were going to go train for that Spartan race. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her and I said, "We're going to train for you." And she had a little tear in her eye, and she kissed me on the cheek. And I thought, we could help one more person.
Yeah.
And that became kind of the mantra, was help one more person. Except something happened, Brenda, the day of the Warrior Dash that I didn't realize until recently you told me. So what happened the day of the Warrior Dash, Brenda?
Yeah, our folks were there. Of course, Baron and I are siblings, so our folks were there supporting us through this. And when we got close to the end of this event, Mom leaned over and she said, "What happened with Baron after this event is done?" Because he had put all of his heart and soul into preparing this and having people there and making the T-shirts and getting ready with the flyers, and it was really pulling him out of his own episodes of challenges with depression that I know he's been open and honest about and talked about, because a lot of people suffer from this, and it doesn't need to be a stigma. It needs to be out there where people can be aware of it. I know he's talked about it before, and she was concerned, as were many other people, that he might fall right back into it, because now he's participated in this big event, but if it's all done, there's kind of that sorrowing afterward, where we're wondering, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting thought to realize, how is he going to handle it? Where is he going to go? And that ties into exactly what you're talking about right there.
Yeah. It was so interesting because I just wanted to do something with Brenda. And it kind of blossomed in my friends at Costco, but it really could have ended that next day.
Right.
But I think God realized I needed something else. And then I meet this gal Leticia. So 12 of us went on to the Spartan race. And as we were getting ready for the Spartan race, I'm driving up to get Brenda from the airport. And as I'm driving up was when my wife found out that her very best friend
That's right.
passed away. Now, she didn't die from pancreatic cancer. She had a heart situation that created a clot. She died with pancreatic cancer. But I read a quote this morning that applies to that situation. The quote is referring to homelessness specifically, but when you see a situation, it says, just get ticked off and do something.
Yeah.
If you see something like homelessness, just get ticked off and do something.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I remember I found that my wife's friend had died, and it was about 20 minutes later, once it had all kind of settled in, and I called my mom, and I said, if they thought I was enthusiastic to help Brenda, I'm just really pissed off right now.
Yeah.
And they said they haven't even seen me unleashed yet, which I didn't realize.
You didn't realize
what that actually meant.
Yeah.
So we did the Spartan race, and once again, it could have faded out. But the week before the Spartan race, I had gone to the Salem Chamber, and I met this lady one time. Her name's Abby Hepner. She lives here in town, and she said, it's really cool what you and your sister are doing because my husband is dying from brain cancer. And we had said, well, you know what? If you don't want to get muddy, if you don't want to train really hard for a Spartan, you could at least do a walk.
Yeah.
So we decided to work alongside the city for this little 5K stride, just bring people out to do a walk. And we decided to dedicate that walk to her husband.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he didn't last long enough to be there.
Okay.
So it kind of became his memorial.
Right, yeah.
But I said, Brenda, we could help one more person. And it became...
It doesn't have to end.
It didn't have to end.
Yeah.
And there was like 23 of us showed up to this walk, and I realized everyone had their own reason for being there. And it was 2 weeks later that a friend of mine said, you guys are onto an idea. You need to be a nonprofit.
That's awesome.
And it was helping one more person twice. Well, right after we formed the nonprofit, I get this call from her. She says, Do you know this girl named Marissa that lives in Newburgh? Do you remember I was talking about Marissa?
Yeah.
Marissa had followed the Facebook page, and she had actually called Brenda. Brenda, where were you when she called you?
Well, I was literally in the middle of the store. I remember remembering being in Costco shopping when I got this phone call from her. And you know, it's noisy in the grocery store. You got the fans going at Costco. So I had to kind of tuck myself into this little corner because I thought, this person's serious. Like, she has an issue, and I'm familiar with it, and she was running the path that I had looked into with my first cancer surgery and the challenges I've gone through, and she wanted more information, and she was interested in our organization. So I had to kind of pull over a little bit with my cart and settle myself down where I could really focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, Marissa became the second go-team.
I love that.
Brenda was the first one. Marissa became the second one, right?
Yeah.
And it was all just like, how can we help one more person? Mm-hmm. And we did some stuff for Marissa, but I want to bring you an update. I'm a little late on doing that, but I want to bring you an update, and then I want to officially announce our 28th go-team.
Okay.
Her name is Marianne McNally.
Okay.
So
We know our Marianne.
yeah. So Marianne sent me a nice update on how she's doing. And she said that in the middle of May, she started having some really bad pains in her upper right quadrant of her abdomen. Her oncologist sent her to get checked. They did a scan. And let me see, I'm just having trouble reading this because you and I, we're not going to make it today, Amanda. Let's see, they think they found was in her stomach that had collapsed. They thought her stomach had collapsed. The doctors didn't feel like this was the reason for the pain, but if you go no longer between meals, this could happen. So she went home. She continued to have the pain for some more time, and then her oncologist ordered a PET scan. Those results showed two tumors in her liver that were suspicious for liver metastasis. So for those that haven't been listening or haven't been following it, Marianne's story, it starts at her breast, and it went away. They thought it was under control, but then it came back and metastasized into her bones. But it was breast cancer in her bones. And after 9 different attempts, they could not get it out of her bones. And she just was getting discouraged. Well, then she goes in, and she's now in the third fight.
Yes.
And now it's in her liver. And that's a scary place for it to be. Marianne had never had one like this as bad before. She says these results show that there were 3 tumors that were each about 1 centimeter, which is pretty decent size. It also showed innumerable tumors that were sub-centimeters. Innumerable means that there are too many to count.
Wow.
So she has enough tumors smaller than a centimeter, too many to count. Next was a liver biopsy, confirmed the 3 tumors were metastatic. She said the interesting part is the triple negative breast cancer, which is not the same type of breast cancer as the original diagnosis. This news was a lot to digest.
I can.
Metastatic in the liver is a whole new game. So she spends some time processing this to herself, telling to her family. She told me a little bit. We've kind of been holding off until she was ready to tell this. Well, while this isn't the news that she was expecting to receive, with time she has come in terms with it and is ready to fight this new diagnosis. 2 weeks ago, and I got this morning. So 2 weeks ago, she began a new IV chemo cocktail, 2 different chemos that work together. She has treatment 1 day a week for 2 weeks, and then a week off, and then repeat. The end of September, she will have another scan done to see how this new treatment is working.
Okay.
The new treatment came with some complications, but not enough to hold her down or stop her from working with the buyers and sellers as far as her job's concerned. Right. So she's still doing her real estate with the buyers and the sellers. They help me keep my mind busy.
I bet.
And I love this last statement. She says, mindset is huge for Marianne. This is something she works on daily. Okay? But since we do have Brenda on the phone, and Brenda, you have some new news, and this is your 3rd time. So you've got about 5 minutes, Brenda. Give our listeners an update on your situation.
Okay. Well, that's always sobering to follow. I love my Marianne. Grateful we can have her on board, that's for sure. And just like her, I'm back in the fight with it again. And I tell you what, friends, like 3 times, it's just no joke. We're third time around. It's just got a lot to it right now. So just super quick recap. I had breast cancer, in invasive ductal carcinoma. I had a mastectomy on the left side. This was in 2016, and it was not triple negative like Marianne's facing at this point. So I didn't have quite as hard a time as that to deal with. And then a year and a half ago or so, I had a recurrence, and I had a wonderful surgeon here in Yuma, Arizona. And when he went in and had to remove everything that was still available, and he said that because I'd been through these 2 surgeries, the skin there was just very, very thin. He did not recommend doing reconstructive surgery at that time, and he was an amazing surgeon and wasn't willing to do it himself hardly at all. He would have sent me out to a specialist at that point if that's something that I chose to do. So now fast forward to, at this point, in the area of that scar tissue from the surgery a little over a year and a half ago was some more happening. Something was going on. Something was developing in that scar tissue, and I didn't really know what it was, but we'd already put it off last time, like 3 years, and it turned out to be cancer. So we said, hey, let's get on top of this a little bit sooner. It looked way different, but there was something happening. When I went into my oncologist, she sent me over to dermatology, and they did a biopsy and found that it is cutaneous breast cancer metastasis. So it's the breast cancer again, which has migrated to just under the skin. So basically the skin, but it's not quite on the derma, it's just under that. So it's not anything the dermatologists handle. They only handle on the top. So it's just under that, but it's manifesting on top of the skin. You can kind of see the tumor is working its way into the skin. So the challenge with that is that your skin is your biggest organ. And once it kind of gets in there, it might want to migrate through a lot of areas of the skin. The good thing is I've had a PET scan, a couple of ultrasounds, and those have come back clear of any extra metastasis of cancer. So that is really amazing after all these years, and with the metastasizing, at this point, it looks like it's settling onto that skin area.
So I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, sis, because many people in the community, the board of directors, they've all reached out to me and goes, what's Brenda's situation? And I said, well, here's the good news. After the PET scan, there's no new hotspots. You'll be able to see us on YouTube, but the look on Amanda's face when you said that was perfect. So I guess the good news is there are no new hotspots, but you still have to deal with the cutaneous. So is there a plan right now for how you're going to deal with the cutaneous part of it?
I met with my oncologist here in town, who is a different oncologist to me. I hadn't met him before. And he was not comfortable recommending anybody in Yuma to do that because the other surgeon I told you about has moved. He's not here any longer. And so I'm going to have to travel over 3 hours over to the Gilbert office of MD Anderson Cancer Center over in the Phoenix area. And I've met over there. It's great timing because I literally just met yesterday with a surgeon at the MD Anderson Cancer Center, and we came up with a couple of plans of attack. We haven't quite decided which angle we're taking, and that's because she wants a little more testing. Now, because of the great thing about the PET scan, the ultrascan's turning out clear, good news, we haven't gone to any other organs, but she is concerned about maybe it's trying to get into the bone or the muscle right where it's sitting on the rib cage. So I am going to go have an MRI to find out if it's attached there. And she thinks it isn't, but I think we should check instead of just doing exploratory surgery.
Yes.
And finding out about that. And then when I get the results of that, to be honest, the plan will be to go ahead and do surgery. It's cutaneous, and so it's on the skin, but it's also in one area. Basically, the tumor is 2.5 inches around, basically, so it's not small.
No, not
and
at
it
all.
is visible.
We're trying to figure out.
The plan of attack is to probably cut it out. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you can't see this, but we're sitting here with our fingers trying to figure out how big.
That's
2.5
a big size.
It's a pretty good sized chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 inches is a pretty good sized chunk. So,
Yeah, well, no, 2.5 centimeters.
Oh, centimeters.
Oh.
Thank you.
Centimeters. Oh, goodness.
You said
Did I say that?
2.5 inches, but centimeters.
Oh, dear.
Still, 2.5 centimeters is still pretty good size. 2.5 inches
Yeah,
would be
I
huge.
apologize. That would be
glad
ridiculous.
it's not
Goodness
2.5.
sakes.
Yeah, Amanda's got this 2.5-inch gap between her fingers right now.
No, I'm so good. Now, I will say I probably got confused with my comment, and the reason for that is because when you look at the whole area, it's about 2.5 inches when you look at the area that's infected.
Okay.
The tumor itself is like a round ball that's about 2.5 centimeters, but the area that you can see was coming literally out of the skin and is infecting it is about 2.5 inches. So I probably got those two confused. So it won't be kind of a mild situation. It is pretty good size.
That's a lot better verbiage than what you said a
It
minute
is.
ago.
But I'm going to cut you
Yeah,
off.
thank you.
I'm going to cut you off,
Yeah,
and we're going to do a shout out for Odd Mo's Pizza for this first segment. They've got, I was looking at the sweet spot, so it's like their Hawaiian pizza, and you could do this on a cauliflower crust. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a
that does sound
perfect
good.
match. So it's got extra Canadian bacon, extra pineapple, extra cheese, breakfast bacon with their red sauce.
Oh, man.
Oh, yum. You guys do yourself a favor and go get some Odd Mo's Pizza today. All right, we'll be right back. You guys stay tuned.